Hey Jasmine. Yeah, the text stands out pretty good. I think I mentioned last time I would really suggest putting each word on a different layer. Then you can change some of the layer styles around, and you can also move it around. As you probably don't want it just centered right, like the words centered under each other. So that's, I mean, you can move it, but if they were on their own layer, you can really move them around differently. So yeah, that's something to think about. Again, it's something. Now this text is way too big for this, but again, she can move it around because it's on a different layer. Same with something like this, using even different fonts and different sizes and so on. So, yeah, it's just the way to do it, really, the correct way. Now, I'm not sure if you see this, but do you see that these drumsticks are the same, almost the same color and value as the background? When you take a first glance at this, you can't really see any of the drumsticks. They don't stand out. And that's how people view things. Like if you're flipping through a magazine or something, and something doesn't grab your attention, you just keep flipping, right? So this is the idea of why you really want to make things stand out. I made the suggestion before that I would really suggest some different objects. I'm not sure people view my feedback. I mean, it's clear that a lot of people don't because there's never any suggestions incorporated. But I mentioned a few other things too. So in terms of the guitar neck, it'll look more realistic if you move it down. So it's kind of looks like it's coming out of here. And if you did some type of a treatment, let me see if I could find, something that, I don't know if I can find it. Oh, it might not even be in here in this group. Oh, here it is. Something like this, a little bit of a drawing or a shadow or something to make it look like it's, coming out. Now see the contrast? Why this is so legible is you've got light text on dark. It's kind of simple, but students sometimes don't see it. Even a lot of people don't see it until they're really trained to see it. Now, do you see why this stands out? It's light. The glows are light on a darker background, and the text is in all this negative space. And this is another reason why you want to put these words on different layers so you can move them around and do different things to them. Again, simple background, light on dark. So those are just some things to think about. So what I would do is you can play around with the background tube, and also the caricature needs to move over because it's way too close. I would also suggest a cast shadow. I probably won't tell you any more about changing the objects, but I mean the reason why I do give you tips is just for a strong portfolio piece. You can go in and see if maybe some different adjustments would work. So does making it light make it stand out more? It does, but you barely see it now, right? So what about making it darker? Okay, so if it's darker, which doesn't really look very good, some things stand out, but then some things don't, right? Because this is the similar value to the background. This part stands out. So again, there's a lot of different things you can do too. I'm going to bring it back more to where it was before. I'll just turn it off in general, but so I'm going to turn this off. This is what you have. So it's not, that part's not that much different. So the cast shadow would really help, and that's up in the top of the threads right here. Cast shadow tutorial. That excuse me, that would really help create, so it doesn't look like it's floating in this music. So you could do some things to make the drumsticks stand out a little bit more. Let me see if I can find one, because I don't think you're going to be changing them. Let me find the other one. I can't even find that one. Okay, there it is. You can go up and add a layer style. You can try something like an outer glow that would make it stand out. I wouldn't choose that color. I'd probably go with even like you know, a really light color, or even white probably. So I'm going to turn the web colors. And then, you know, if you make it larger, see what, do you see what that does now? That adding a glow creates more contrast, right? So darker on lighter. So that's the reason. This needs some refinement too. I would probably put these things underneath the drum, the layer. So that's another thing you can do, something like that. You can also, I would also suggest maybe thinking of doing something with the picks, just because, again, those don't stand out very much either. In all, you know, all this bit about contrast is really one of the main graphic design concepts that needs to be understood, and it's just called contrast. And basically, you know, you need to create contrast to make things stand out. It's you know, and you'll see it with everything, you know, so I mean, hopefully, I mean, it takes a while for it to sink in too. I mean, there's the white on there. You know, you don't have to do white if you didn't want to. I mean, you could do red like you already have. It needs to be lighter though, right? Because it needs to it needs to be lighter than the background, basically. So that's this whole concept of contrast. You know, this is you can make the opacity higher. The size is kind of big, or you can make it a big size and make the spread. Whoops, not like that. Do something like that and then really lower the opacity so it just looks kind of like a glow. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff to do that can help make these stand out a little bit more. And that's just one thing. So, I mean, I don't know, does this make sense to you? I mean, can you see that this stands out a lot more now with the layer style? I can turn it off and turn it back on. But overall, this, you know, I would probably look for another background that doesn't have exactly the same colors as a lot of the parts of your caricature. You know, or you can make one yourself, like some of those images that I showed you. You know, she made this one herself. I mean, she got the components, but she you know, she put them together herself. Let's see, where's that other music one? Again, they kind of got the stage thing. And again, it's too saturated. I would have brought the red color down in saturation because that would have really made the caricature stand out more. Okay, and again, I think I've mentioned different kinds of drumsticks. I would suggest, I mean, that would really help, like a green drumstick or a different color. I mean, these are all things I've mentioned in the past, though, so I'm sorry that I keep mentioning them because I think you must want to keep these. Okay, so anyway, let me know if you have any questions. We have a couple more weeks to go, and you know, the next couple weeks are really about, you know, about all this fine, you know, editing. You know, and I mean, I can't force people to incorporate the suggestions, but they really are given to help you create a strong portfolio piece. You know, and also it usually means a good grade too. So, okay, so anyway, overall, I think it's looking good. There's some areas that need to stand out more. And, you know, I still have, you know, a lot of the same suggestions as last week. Okay.